What if I told you everything you need to film a wedding is inside this single box? Well, it's true. In this crate is everything you need to get started filming weddings. So I'm gonna break it down into a couple categories to make it easy for you if you're just getting started as a wedding filmmaker to know exactly what you need to buy, maybe what you really don't have to buy, but it's kind of nice to have, and maybe some stuff you don't need at all. So let's check it out. One of the biggest issues people have when they're getting started as a wedding filmmaker is what gear to buy. You see the question all the time, what's the best camera? What's the best lens? And honestly, I think sometimes people are missing the point a little because you don't need all the best stuff and you definitely don't need everything you're gonna have someday as a wedding filmmaker to get started filming weddings. And so that's our focus today. What do we need to get started? So we're gonna break it down in a couple categories: cameras, lenses, audio equipment, grip, and support gear. And then at the end, we're gonna talk about a couple things that you might optionally wanna add, but you don't have to get started. And I think a couple of them might surprise you. So let's get started. At the end, I'm gonna show you 3 pieces of gear that many people buy first that I really believe they should buy last. So let's break into this box right here. This is a Cydio crate. By the way, this is how we actually pack our gear for weddings. We basically try to pack it all as one single kit, so it makes it easier to pack up for the wedding day. We don't bring this box to weddings. We bring it in a nice rolling Pelican case, but this is an entire wedding kit. So let's check it out. The first thing you're gonna want, and obviously need, is cameras. I recommend getting at least 2 cameras that can shoot 4K and 60 frames per second. Don't get overly hung up on shooting full frame 4K 60. Honestly, when you're getting started, really even at any point in your career, having a crop on your 4K 60 is not a big deal. So the first thing you're gonna want is 2 cameras. And for this, we're showing you 2 older cameras because I really wanna show you that you don't need all the newest cameras. These are 2 Fujifilm X-T4s. They're a little bit older, and they're very affordable, and they do a great job filming weddings. Now, you can do kind of any camera body, by the way, so don't worry so much about it, but I'm just trying to show you, if you're trying to get started, you can do it on a budget and make beautiful films. This is our 2 camera bodies. You need at least 2, in my opinion. 3 is better, 4 is best, 5 is what I like. But you can get started with 2, trust me. Don't forget batteries, by the way. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they first start filming weddings is they don't get close to enough batteries. Weddings are very long days. You don't always have access to a charger, and guess what? It takes time to charge batteries. So I recommend at least 8 batteries to get started as a wedding filmmaker, and don't forget to pack your charger. Now let's talk about lenses. There's a lot of ways you can go with lenses, and you can certainly cover a wedding with multiple types of lenses, but this is just what I'm gonna recommend that gives you the most flexibility. In terms of guidelines, I typically recommend people at least get a fixed aperture lens, at least f2.8. Now, if those lenses feel a little out of reach and a little too expensive for you, that's okay. You can shoot weddings with really whatever you got. So right here we have a Fujifilm 16-55, but many of you will know it more by its full frame equivalent, a 24-70 f2.8. That is a great multi-purpose lens. It goes all the way from 24 millimeters, which is pretty wide, to 70, which is a solid mid, and it lets you just kind of be very flexible on the wedding day, as well as a 70-200. Now this is a crop sensor lens, so it says 50-140, but if you were doing full frame equivalent, it would be around a 70-200 lens. This right here is like the dynamic duo of wedding lenses. You got a 24-70 and a 70-200, and you can pretty much cover any situation, especially because they're both 2.8, so they're fast enough to handle low light situations. I highly recommend this setup. That being said, you want to go primes, you can do that. This is just what we do. Now, let's talk about audio. For people getting started, I think audio is the thing that they skimp out a lot on because it's not that exciting and it's not that interesting. There are many filmmakers that are very experienced with shooting, but maybe not so experienced with recording audio. So I'm going to show you what you need to film weddings, and I promise you, it's probably more than you think. The first thing we're going to be looking at is a small lavalier recorder. We like to bring 2 of them. This right here is a Zoom F2 Bluetooth model. I like to bring 2 so I can mic up the officiant and the groom. If you can only get away with buying 1, you can probably be okay doing that as well, but I highly recommend getting 2 small lavalier style recorders. The next thing we're gonna be looking at is a line level recorder like this Zoom H6. As you can see, it's been to a lot of weddings. It's a little beat up. And I think that's a good thing because that means it's durable. You don't need all the newest stuff when you're filming weddings. This right here is pretty old model and we still use it every weekend. The key here is just make sure you have XLR inputs, and actually make sure you have combo inputs, which is XLR and 1/4 inch inputs. This right here is my primary source of audio when I am filming a wedding. This is what I'm gonna be used to record off the DJ soundboard or off of a speaker or something like that. And the good thing too is it also has a microphone built in, so I'm getting a lot of audio sources from this one device. If you had to pick one thing to film weddings with, I would probably say grab this first. So this next piece of gear is maybe a little controversial, but just trust me on it. I highly recommend you also grab a third recorder, which is some kind of combo recorder that has a nice mic built right in that you can do direct miking of a speaker with. And that's basically just like close miking a speaker. This right here is a Zoom H2. It is really old, man. It's probably upgraded the models over the years, but we just keep buying them. And we bought this at the very beginning of our careers 14 years ago. And we still use this exact same recorder at every wedding, with one little extra trick, which I would highly recommend people get, which is this little $20, $30 magnetized 1/4 20 ball head. Screw this on right here, and as simple as going right on the front of the speaker, except, you know, face the speaker, and recording. Now, the only thing I'll remind you of is you better set this thing to like the lowest volume level, limiter, all that stuff. You don't want this thing peaking out, but trust me, if you do it correctly, it works really well, and it's gotten us out of a bunch of situations, like maybe going to a Catholic church where they have no sound system that I can hook up into, or maybe no one wants to wear a lav mic. There's situations where this has actually been our primary source of audio, and it actually sounds great, and it works really wonderful, and it's really easy to do, and I highly recommend you do as well. A few more audio things I really think every wedding filmmaker should get when they start out. This we call a dead kitty or a windsock. But this is for our H2, but you can also use it on the Zoom H6 or really any kind of microphone, but this is just for those windy outdoor ceremonies. Definitely grab one of these when you're getting started. And finally, the bane of all new wedding filmmakers' existence, the cables. Now, we like to bring ours in this nice little audio cable bag for a couple reasons. A, easy to pack. B, easy to pack up at the end of the night. You know what you have. And so what we like to add inside of this is XLR cable, 1/4 inch cable, and then you're gonna need 3 different adapters. First one and most important is a XLR splitter. Now we'll talk in another video maybe about some recording techniques and exactly how to maximize a device that maybe isn't 32-bit float or something like that, but the easy answer of why we use a splitter is we set one channel lower and one channel higher, just in case our source peaks out. These are very cheap and it's a very easy solution, and it gives you 2 recordings instead of 1 recording. So I highly recommend you use a splitter. This is an XLR splitter, which you plug into that mic cable. Very, very cool, and you need it. The second one is a 1/4 inch splitter. Now this is basically the exact same thing, but for your instrument cable. And finally, an adapter you probably will never need until you need it. Every so often, I roll into a wedding and my only source of audio is RCA, which is very old school. Depending on where you live, definitely you'll see more or less of them, but it's very cheap, and I just think every wedding filmmaker having one of these in your kit might bail you out of a tough situation. Now, you're gonna need something to carry all the AA or possibly AAA, I'm not sure, batteries for each of your audio devices. So definitely a little thing like this is a lifesaver. Highly encourage you to grab that. You definitely need AA/AAA batteries to power your audio devices, so don't forget about that. And this is a big thing people skip on. Don't skip on it, which is media. In this case, we have all the media that we need. We have one for each of our cameras. We have it labeled. We have our lavalier mics. One thing to keep in mind, many audio devices have a max limit of gigs in the SD card you can use, so check on that. Don't just buy the biggest one possible and expect it to work in all your audio devices. It might not. But in this case, we have dual slots, so we have one for each of our slots on our camera. This is actually for our H6, and this is for our H2, and these 2 are for our lavalier microphones. At least that, if not a couple backups in case a card fails. But at least this, and you'll be able to film a wedding. So a couple grip things that you're gonna also really need that they don't fit in a box because they're kind of big, which is You're gonna want a high quality tripod, at least one. Two is better, but you can definitely get away with handhelding one camera and having one on a tripod. You're gonna at least want one tripod. This right here has been through a lot of wear and tear, and it has survived. It's a 755XB by Manfrotto, and we use these things a lot. In terms of what we're looking for in a tripod, we want a reputable brand, something durable. We prefer to have a ball head on it so we can flatten that shot out no matter what the scenario we're in is like. Maybe the ground's uneven. And just keep in mind, having a solid fluid head really makes a difference. Don't skimp on grip gear, definitely not your tripod, definitely not your head. It makes a big difference on the quality of your shots and if you ever need to move it, how jerky it is. And I think one other piece of grip gear that you really need to have is a light stand. This is a little 7-foot light stand with a 1/4-20 kind of adapter on the top. At least one of these I think makes a really big difference on the wedding day. You might need to put one of your audio recorders high to record on something, the scenario, you don't know. It's just good to have at least one of them. 2 is better, 3 is best, but at least one light stand that you can bring to weddings with you is, I think, very important. This right here is a backpack by Peak Design. It's a great backpack. It's the 30L everyday backpack. You could probably fit all this gear in this backpack, and possibly that might be a great way to go for you. But you could also go with maybe a rolly hard case, something like that with a foam inserts. Just make sure it fits all your gear. In terms of tripods and things like that, maybe some kind of tripod bag would also be really helpful. You don't want to be rolling in, just grabbing stuff and bashing it against the walls. You're definitely going to need that as well to bring all that gear into the wedding. So you might be saying in this video, hey, you're forgetting 2 really important things, Jay, that we really need to film weddings: a drone and a gimbal. And I'm here to tell you this. You don't have to have a drone and you don't have to have a gimbal to get started filming weddings. Now, is this kit the perfect kit for every single wedding? No. Do you probably want a few more camera bodies? Do you want a gimbal? Yeah, I love having a gimbal. Are drones great? Yes, but you don't have to have them to get started filming weddings. That being said, I do highly recommend grabbing a gimbal and a drone if you're getting started in wedding filmmaking. I think it just adds that extra element to your films. And unless you have a very specific style that's very handheld driven, which some people do, I think it will help you maybe not just stand out in the market, but fit in the market if you're trying to start a wedding filmmaking business. So, do you have to have a gimbal? No. Do you have to have a drone? No. Are they great? And if you can afford them? Yeah, those would be like the 2 things I would add on, maybe even before a 3rd camera, is adding a gimbal and a drone to my wedding kit. Now, there is one piece of essential gear that doesn't fit in this box, but does fit in our cases, and that's a light. This is an Aperture LS60X, but there are a lot of lights like this. Now, lighting, it has a bit of a learning curve, but I'm telling you, it's totally worth it. Lighting speeches and toast, to me, is the difference between an amateur look when you're in dark places and a professional wedding filmmaking look on that kind of footage. I highly recommend get a light for your kit. Just make sure it fits in your case. Again, there's a lot of ways to go here. I'm not recommending Fujifilm or any certain type of camera. What I'm saying is 2 cameras, a 24-70, a 7200, 3 audio recorders, 8 batteries, get your charger, and of course, all your media and tripod, light stand, a light, and you're ready to go. You're shooting professional wedding films. Now, the only thing I'll say as a caveat is this is much more for that highlight-centric wedding filmmaker. If you're needing to do very serious multicam coverage, that's when you're gonna need to start adding more cameras and lenses. Now, I realize when I bring all this out here that it's kind of expensive. I mean, you're talking over $10,000 if you wanna get all of the gear we mentioned in this video. I promise you though, if you're starting a business, you're not gonna start a business cheaper than that. So it's totally worth it to make sure you have the gear that you need to do a good job. Now, the last question I wanna address is, what if I only have 1 camera and 1 lens? Maybe a few batteries. Can I still make wedding films? And I think the answer is yes. You just can't make every type of wedding film. You could probably even get away with doing no audio. You just shoot handheld, a beautiful, fun wedding film. You can do it. Really, don't let gear stop you from being a filmmaker. Just Get a camera, get a lens, even if it's just second shooting with someone, and get out there and shoot and start making wedding films. And I promise you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna have a great time. And you'll probably, because you're gonna be so good at it, get paid to do it. And you'll be able to afford all this stuff. Money matters. Don't be stupid with money. Don't buy too much gear. Trust me on that. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you are a new filmmaker, I'm so excited for you. Don't let gear hold you back. Like I said, get out there and do it. Please subscribe, like, and of course, we have our sister channel, Wedding Film School, where we have our gear reviews and our behind the scenes videos. See you next time on Wedding Film 101.